Maybe we just, honestly, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't have any. I'm not sure what the issue is. Those were the words of Nikola Jokic, clearly at a loss after the shocking dismissal of head coach Michael Malone. Now, speculation is running rampant that the Joker himself could be contemplating his future in Denver. Malone's firing sent shockwaves through the NBA, but if you paid attention, the warning signs were already there. My goal is to speak truthfully. It was a harsh reality check, and those who were complacent didn't take the message to heart. So, what exactly led to Malone's departure? Is Nikola Jokic genuinely contemplating stepping away from the team he helped bring to the pinnacle of success? We're diving into all the details right now. The stunning shakeup on April 8th, 2025, just 3 games shy of ending their regular season. The Denver Nuggets made a decision that reverberated throughout the NBA. The franchise parted ways with head coach Michael Malone while also announcing that general manager Calvin Booth's contract would not be renewed, a move that blindsided nearly everyone in the league. To grasp just how unexpected this decision was, we need to consider the circumstances under which it occurred. At the time of Malone's departure, the Nuggets held a solid 47-32 record, placing them 4th in the cutthroat Western Conference standings. Though the team had dropped 4 consecutive games and faced the risk of slipping into the play-in tournament, no one anticipated such a drastic action, especially with the postseason looming. The timing of this significant change is especially noteworthy, as it marks the latest regular season coaching dismissal in the NBA in 45 years. Denver Nuggets Governor Josh Kroenke addressed the unprecedented move, stating, "It brings no satisfaction to announce that we have decided to part ways with Michael Malone as our head coach." Kroenke further elaborated, emphasizing, "While the timing is regrettable, Coach Malone has been instrumental in constructing the foundation of a championship-caliber organization. We are excited to continue building upon the foundation established during his historic 10-year career. With profound appreciation, we extend our gratitude to Coach Malone for orchestrating the most successful era in Nuggets history, shattering the franchise's all-time wins record and leading Denver to its first-ever championship." Let's take a moment to revisit Malone's remarkable tenure. He stepped into the role of head coach in 2015, the same year Nikola Jokic embarked on his NBA journey. Over the course of nearly a decade with the team, Malone achieved an outstanding 471-327 record, becoming the most successful coach in Nuggets history. His pinnacle accomplishment came in 2023 when he guided Denver to their inaugural NBA title. Under Malone's leadership, the Nuggets vanquished the Miami Heat in the finals, while Jokic transformed from a 41st pick in the second round into one of the most extraordinary and dominant players the sport has ever seen. Winning 3 MVP awards, Jokic has cemented his reputation as arguably the greatest player in the world. Entering the 2024-25 season, he has been delivering astounding performances, averaging 30 points, 12.8 rebounds, and 10.2 assists per game, solidifying his legacy as one of the all-time greats. So why make this decision now? According to insider reports and league experts, a variety of factors have influenced this choice. Reports of considerable discord between Malone and general manager Calvin Booth emerged, as highlighted by NBA insider Chris Broussard. I admit this caught me off guard. I think even those who want him gone, though I won't name anyone, were surprised. Everyone was, he explained. So, I made some calls, and here's what I found out. Apparently, this situation has been simmering for quite some time. I've heard that the atmosphere in Denver has been toxic, or at least perceived as such, because Calvin Booth, who, as you mentioned, was also dismissed, and Michael Malone simply don't get along. In fact, sources tell me they had reportedly stopped communicating altogether. The reported tension is said to have fostered a toxic atmosphere that had been brewing for an extended period. Their relationship had apparently deteriorated to such an extent that they were rumored to have stopped communicating entirely, a scenario that would undoubtedly be unsustainable for any top-tier professional sports team aiming to remain competitive. Additionally, questions were raised about Malone's coaching approach and how it was affecting the team dynamics. Broussard elaborated further, describing Michael Malone as a traditional, no-nonsense coach whose style had reportedly rubbed many players the wrong way. Sources even suggest that, had the team not secured the championship title in 2023, his tenure might have ended then and there. Ultimately, their victory kept him in his position. However, his tough, old-school methods were said to have worn thin for some on the roster, with claims surfacing that, if not for the 2023 championship win, Malone could have been let go much earlier. Although Michael Malone's intense, demanding approach succeeded in driving the team to a championship, it seemed to lose its effectiveness as they struggled to replicate that success in subsequent seasons. Compounding the problem were disputes over roster decisions and strategic differences between Malone and the front office. After their title win, the Nuggets parted ways with critical role players, such as Bruce Brown and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, moves that Malone was reportedly against. These departures undermine the team's defensive strength, as evidenced by their defensive rating slipping to 20th this season, a significant decline from the elite defense they displayed during their championship run. Additionally, the team's woes were exacerbated by injuries and inconsistent performances from key players. Jamal Murray has been hampered by recurring hamstring inflammation, limiting his availability, while Michael Porter Jr. has delivered uneven performances throughout the campaign. Combined with a disheartening 4-game losing streak, these problems culminated in the decision to part ways with Malone. A telling moment occurred during a recent press conference, where Malone's demeanor seemed to hint at the looming changes. In the clip, his frustration is unmistakable, and his tone clearly reflects the mounting tensions. ESPN analyst Brian Windhorst provided a deeper perspective on the Nuggets' unexpected decision, hinting that the team's ownership might have been anticipating potential challenges if they delayed action until after the season. Josh Kroenke, Denver Nuggets governor, shared his thoughts in a statement to the team's media, but has yet to address the broader press. In his remarks, he revealed that he believed a change was necessary and had already resolved to dismiss both Michael Malone and Calvin Booth following the season. Ultimately, he decided to act immediately. Kroenke also made a particularly striking comment, emphasizing that victories can sometimes conceal underlying problems. This observation sheds light on the ownership's mindset. They seem set on parting ways with Malone regardless of the season's outcome, and were wary that a strong playoff performance might complicate their plans. The move is even more intriguing given the Kroenke family's background as team owners, as Windhorst highlighted. It's worth noting the influential history of the Kroenke family. Stan Kroenke is the principal owner, while Josh oversees the Nuggets. The family's portfolio spans several major sports organizations worldwide, including the Los Angeles Rams, the Colorado Avalanche, the Nuggets, and Arsenal Football Club in England. The Kroenkes have consistently displayed minimal inclination to make frequent coaching changes across their sports franchises. Since acquiring the Rams in 2010, he's let go of a head coach perhaps only once or twice. With Arsenal, there have been just 2 coaching changes since his purchase in 2007, and the Avalanche haven't seen a coaching shift in roughly a decade. This track record has solidified the Kroenkes' image as advocates for stability and long-term commitment when it comes to their coaches. At the point of his dismissal, Michael Malone held the distinction of being the 4th longest-serving NBA head coach, which made the decision to part ways with him both unexpected and out of character for the organization. This marked a clear break from their typical managerial philosophy. Following Malone's departure, the Nuggets announced David Adelman, the son of Hall of Fame coach Rick Adelman, as the interim head coach to lead the team for the remainder of the season. This sudden coaching shift, mere days ahead of the playoffs, heaps substantial strain on both Adelman and the team as they're forced to quickly adjust under new guidance during the most pivotal stage of the season. Yet, amidst all the upheaval within the organization, a pressing question arises. What implications does this hold for Nikola Jokic? Could there be any validity to the rumors suggesting the Nuggets star player might be reassessing his future with the team? Jokic's response and bond with Malone. Nikola Jokic and Michael Malone have shared a deeply intertwined journey throughout their time in the NBA. Since Jokic entered the league as a 2015 draft pick for the Nuggets, Malone has been the only head coach he's played under. Over the span of an extraordinary decade, the two have established a partnership that has far surpassed expectations, shaping careers and achieving milestones previously thought improbable when they both arrived in Denver. Their collaboration has been marked by shared growth, adaptability, and, ultimately, the pinnacle of professional success, an NBA championship. Under Malone's tutelage, Jokic evolved from a little-known second-round selection into a 3-time MVP and a championship-winning cornerstone of the league. Malone frequently commended Jokic's rare talent and impressive progress, often emphasizing just how fortunate he felt to coach such a one-of-a-kind player. In March 2025, just a few weeks prior to his dismissal, Malone lauded Jokic, calling him extraordinary and expressing gratitude for having him as part of the Nuggets. As I always say, I'm so grateful he's wearing a Nuggets jersey. We're witnessing greatness every single night, he remarked. Their mutual admiration was evident, as their professional relationship appeared to surpass the usual boundaries of a player and coach dynamic. A notable instance of their close connection unfolded in November 2023, when both were ejected during a game against the Detroit Pistons. Instead of stewing in frustration, separately, Malone and Jokic spent the rest of the game together in the locker room, an experience that Malone later described as indicative of their shared perspectives and camaraderie. Such episodes of mutual understanding and shared moments laid the foundation for a bond deeply rooted in respect and a common vision for basketball. So, how has Jokic responded to the abrupt departure of Malone? Reports suggest he was informed of the decision beforehand, though he did not directly advocate for the move. This indicates that, while Jokic wasn't actively pushing for Malone's removal, the organization sought to keep him informed, a gesture reflective of his significant influence within the team. Adding to the intrigue, Jokic's agent, Misko Razadovic, had arrived in Denver from Serbia the week before Malone's firing, sparking speculation about possible discussions concerning the franchise's strategic direction moving forward. Although there isn't definitive proof linking this visit to any developments regarding Malone's position, the timing has certainly sparked curiosity across the league. It's important to highlight that, as of April 9, 2025, Jokic has not issued any public remarks concerning Malone's dismissal. His lack of commentary has only fueled further speculation about both his thoughts on the situation and his future within the franchise. By examining the details at hand, however, we can begin to form some ideas about his possible stance. Various NBA analysts have offered their perspectives on Jokic's bond with Malone and how the coaching change might impact him. Chris Broussard weighed in, saying, "What I hear is this. I'm told Jokic had a good relationship with Michael Malone. He genuinely liked him. Of course, there were moments when he felt Malone could be a bit too intense, and it rubbed him the wrong way at times. But overall, he liked him. Here's what I've been informed about the situation. While Jokic may have occasionally shown resistance to Malone's tough coaching methods, he largely maintained a good rapport with his coach and valued his leadership style. This is consistent with the enduring partnership and achievements they've shared over the years. That said, there have been moments this season where Jokic's frustration became apparent, particularly regarding the team's defensive lapses. Sources reveal that Jokic has shown uncharacteristic annoyance on the sidelines, especially during stretches when Jamal Murray was out due to injury. This dissatisfaction, combined with the team's uneven performance, might have led to a perception that change was warranted, even if Jokic didn't directly push for Malone's departure. During an appearance on ESPN's First Take, Mad Dog Russo offered an intriguing take on Jokic's possible involvement in the decision. He pointed out that, given the significant financial investment in Jokic, it's unlikely the organization would move forward with firing Malone without at least consulting the star player. Russo added that if Jokic had been against it, he could have easily argued, "Are you out of your mind? We can't fire Malone. I really admire the guy." This point of view implies that while Jokic might not have actively advocated for Malone's dismissal, he also didn't make any effort to safeguard his coach's position. Such passive non-interference can be seen differently depending on how one interprets the situation. Wendy Windhorst appeared to align with this perspective, commenting, "I do agree with Mad Dog that there's a subtle difference here between a player outright calling for a coach's firing and a star with influence choosing not to prevent it. I believe it's the latter, and I think Mad Dog is spot on. That's where I stand. The distinction between aggressively pushing for a dismissal and simply refraining from stopping it is essential to understanding Jokic's possible involvement. This points to a nuanced dynamic, suggesting Jokic may have acknowledged the necessity of change without being its primary catalyst. Meanwhile, speculation online has surged, with a post on X, formerly Twitter, stating, "Jokic okayed this, Booth gone too." Malone had completely lost the locker room, while another remarked that such a decision likely wouldn't have happened without Jokic's approval. Although social media reactions aren't definitive sources, they reveal a widely held belief that a decision of such significance likely required at least the implicit consent of the team's franchise player. ESPN's Monica McNutt shared an insightful take on why Malone's influence in the locker room might have waned. "I'm hesitant to call it a mistake because I think this organization has earned a level of respect," she explained. "However, if you're the coach who takes the team to a championship, it's possible you've fully maximized what this group has to offer. You always hear teams in every league talk about how challenging it is to achieve back-to-back success. So, if that voice begins to lose its impact, it's just a natural part of the human experience." This notion of a coach's voice becoming less impactful might clarify why Jokic, despite his largely positive rapport with Malone, didn't resist the decision. After nearly 10 years together, it seems possible that both sides had naturally reached the conclusion of their professional journey together. On NBA, on TNT, Shaquille O'Neal voiced his dissatisfaction with the timing and execution of Malone's departure. "I think it could have been handled in a more professional way. He's the winningest coach in Denver's history and brought them a championship. They remain in the position of potentially securing another championship title." This perspective was shared by numerous individuals within the league, as the sudden timing of the dismissal, occurring just days before the playoffs, sparked concerns regarding the organization's decision-making and its possible effect on the team's morale. Candace Parker highlighted a striking moment from one of Malone's final press conferences, hinting at underlying problems within the group. "You made a remark that stands out. A locker room filled with noise and passion indicates players eager to address issues. But he recalled that no one said a word. For me, a silent locker room, where no one speaks up, is far more concerning. When a team avoids taking ownership or responsibility, it becomes an alarming situation." This insight into players' hesitance to voice concerns during team discussions points to potential cracks in team dynamics and cohesion, factors that may have played a role in the decision to pursue a change in leadership. The partnership between Jokic and Malone presents an intriguing example of how professional relationships in sports can develop and change over time. Their collaboration, which brought immense success and culminated in an NBA championship in 2023, may have reached a point where maintaining excellence amid shifting team dynamics called for a new approach. As the Nuggets venture into this new chapter with David Adelman stepping in as interim head coach, the spotlight is firmly on Jokic. Observers will closely monitor his reactions and performance in the weeks ahead, as they may offer insights into both his mindset and his long-term intentions with the organization. This raises the pressing question everyone's been asking. Is there a possibility Jokic could part ways with Denver? With Michael Malone's unexpected dismissal and the instability it has introduced, speculation surrounding Jokic's future has reached a boiling point. Though there's no direct evidence indicating that Jokic has asked for a trade or hinted at leaving, the sudden coaching change has inevitably sparked concerns about the team's trajectory and whether they can truly harness the best years of Jokic's career. Let's delve into the elements that might impact Jokic's thought process and evaluate how realistic it is for him to consider parting ways with Denver. To start, it's crucial to look at his contractual obligations. Jokic remains signed with the Nuggets through the 2027-28 season, holding a player option for that final year. Furthermore, he's set to qualify for an enormous 3-year, $212 million extension following the conclusion of the NBA Finals. This extension presents a major financial motive for Jokic to stay in Denver, as no other franchise can match the monetary benefits the Nuggets can offer. That said, for a superstar of Jokic's stature, who has already amassed life-changing wealth thanks to prior contracts, money might no longer be the primary driver. At this stage in his career, chasing additional championships probably outweighs financial gains. This raises the key question: are the Nuggets still his best opportunity to pursue more titles? Concerns about the team's competitive future are valid, given recent organizational instability and on-court struggles. Notably, the Nuggets have slipped to 20th in defensive rating, marking a stark decline from their championship-caliber performance. Key roster decisions, such as parting ways with Bruce Brown and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, have diminished their defensive strength and overall depth. With Jamal Murray's persistent injury troubles and Michael Porter Jr.'s inconsistent play, an even greater responsibility has fallen on Jokic to lead the team. NBA analyst Chris Broussard emphasized the pivotal nature of the Nuggets' upcoming moves in ensuring their star player remains committed. The acknowledgement that Jokic requires additional championships to secure his place among the all-time greats adds to the urgency for both him and the organization to make the most of his peak years. At 30 years old, Jokic is at his career's zenith, and the decisions being made now will have a lasting effect on his legacy. During First Things First, Nick Wright raised an intriguing perspective on considerations surrounding Jokic's future. While the immediate focus is on the MVP conversation, the broader issue touches on how organizational stability and success shape player evaluation. If Jokic's remarkable individual achievements continue to be overshadowed by instability within the franchise, it could prompt him to rethink his long-term prospects in Denver. Chris Broussard also noted that recent changes in the front office might ultimately work to Jokic's advantage. The loss of Tim Connolly to Minnesota, the architect of the franchise's championship-winning roster, coupled with the firing of head coach Mike Malone and general manager Calvin Booth, resets the direction of the franchise, potentially creating a fresh start for Jokic and the team. If the Nuggets can hire a capable new GM dedicated to building around Jokic and addressing the team's shortcomings, it might renew his commitment to staying with the franchise. The why wait mentality that appeared to influence the Nuggets' choice to part ways with Malone could also reflect a broader philosophy in how they handle roster decisions. Candace Parker highlighted this perspective on NBA on TNT, emphasizing that many organizations are increasingly unwilling to postpone necessary moves, even when the timing feels unconventional. Such actions could demonstrate to Jokic that the team is serious about making the changes required to compete for a championship again. Another key factor is Jokic's personality and preferences. Unlike several other star players who have switched teams repeatedly during their careers, Jokic has maintained a fairly reserved public image and shown little interest in seeking the spotlight that often comes with joining a team in a larger market. His upbringing in Sambor, Serbia, combined with his modest attitude toward fame, indicates he may prioritize stability and familiar surroundings over the allure of a more high-profile destination. As Chris Broussard noted, his response came amid speculation that Jokic might start demanding significant roster improvements or even explore leaving the team, much like other superstars have done when they felt their teams were underperforming. However, the general consensus is that while Jokic certainly has the status to make such demands, doing so would be uncharacteristic of his usual approach. Meanwhile, Chris Wilde, during the same discussion, provided an essential insight into how the concept of player empowerment has transformed within the NBA. The mention of Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors acquiring Chris Paul underscores how even the most devoted stars can subtly or overtly push their franchises to make impactful decisions. While Nikola Jokic isn't the type to openly demand trades or dramatic roster changes, it's possible he applies quiet, behind-the-scenes influence to ensure the team stays competitive. Social media chatter has stirred up scenarios where Jokic might align with other superstar talents. A particularly popular yet highly speculative idea among some Lakers fans imagines him partnering with Luka Doncic, even though such scenarios are far from realistic at this time. Analysts have floated other potential trade destinations, including the Golden State Warriors, Miami Heat, or even the Minnesota Timberwolves, given the connection to former Nuggets GM Tim Connolly. Historically, the NBA has witnessed franchise players leaving when their teams failed to provide sustainable championship opportunities. LeBron James departed Cleveland twice, Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City, and Kawhi Leonard exited San Antonio under strained circumstances. On the other hand, some all-time greats have remained loyal to one organization during their peak years, despite adversity. Dirk Nowitzki with Dallas, Damian Lillard in Portland until very recently, and Stephen Curry with Golden State. Ultimately, Jokic's trajectory will hinge on his personal priorities and whether the Nuggets can present a compelling roadmap to stay in championship contention. Taking all of these aspects into account, what can we deduce about Jokic's trajectory with the Denver Nuggets? To begin with, there's no imminent risk of him departing the team. Jokic is still bound by his current contract for a number of seasons, and no credible rumors suggest he's unhappy with the organization or seeking a trade. As for the surprising dismissal of Malone, it seems this was a decision Jokic was made aware of, but not one he specifically advocated for or strongly opposed. Secondly, the Nuggets' next moves will carry significant weight. Decisions regarding the hiring of a new long-term head coach and general manager, along with how they address roster construction during the offseason, will reflect their dedication to optimizing Jokic's prime competitive years. If they take bold steps to strengthen their defense and improve depth, it could solidify Jokic's confidence in the team's direction. Ultimately, the most logical takeaway is that while Jokic is unlikely to leave Denver in the near term, the team doesn't have an infinite window to secure his commitment for the long haul. Like any elite player, Jokic wants to chase championships, and if the franchise fails to establish a viable path to contention, he might eventually weigh his options. This could manifest through taking a more hands-on role in personnel decisions, or, in a more significant scenario, by exploring opportunities with other teams. Moreover, it's essential to factor in the evolving landscape of competition in the Western Conference over the next few years. The rise of youthful, skilled squads, such as the Thunder and Timberwolves, coupled with seasoned contenders like the Warriors and Mavericks, has fostered an intensely competitive environment where even minor weaknesses in a roster can be swiftly exploited. This elevated competition might weigh heavily on Jokic's decision-making process as he considers his long-term prospects with Denver. As Broussard pointed out, David Adelman, the son of Hall of Fame coach Rick Adelman, is stepping into the role. He likely doesn't have sufficient time to overhaul the team's strategy, right? However, his presence might spark some positive energy, providing a fresh atmosphere less tense than before. This shift could prove beneficial. In the short term, the coaching change seems more geared toward revitalizing team morale rather than introducing significant strategic overhauls. Should this renewed energy translate into a solid playoff run, it might reinforce Jokic's confidence in the franchise's trajectory, even in Malone's absence. The team's future outlook will also be influenced by Jamal Murray's presence and the growth of emerging players like Christian Braun, both of which are key factors in Nikola Jokic's evaluation moving forward. Murray's ability to regain his form and remain healthy is especially vital, given that his synergy with Jokic was the cornerstone of their 2023 championship victory. Situations involving other superstars offer valuable comparisons here. For instance, when LeBron James made his return to Cleveland, it was under the condition that the franchise would pursue aggressive moves to assemble a championship-level team. Once those efforts diminished, he eventually shifted to the Lakers. Similarly, Kevin Durant parted ways with the Oklahoma City Thunder after repeated close calls and roster changes that failed to elevate the team to the next level. What sets Jokic apart, however, is a seemingly more relaxed demeanor and less overt focus on legacy building. As Broussard pointed out, Jokic doesn't appear to be the type to demand major roster overhauls or orchestrate an exit to another team. Still, that doesn't imply he's disengaged from the team's competitive standing. Rather, his concerns might express themselves in ways less obvious than what we've witnessed with other star players. Reactions to Malone's dismissal have been notably divided, with some fans standing by the coach while others criticize his strategies. On Reddit, one commenter stated, "Keep Malone away from the Spurs, not a great coach," pointing to the Nuggets' struggles whenever Jokic isn't on the floor. Conversely, another fan described Malone as a genuinely strong coach. These contrasting views underscore the difficulty in assessing Malone's time with the team and the rationale behind the organization's choice to part ways. Opinions among NBA analysts have been just as split. Shaquille O'Neal highlighted the unpredictable nature of championship pursuits, saying, "We lost to Detroit, but then went on to win another in Miami. It wasn't easy. Everything he said initially was spot on." Credit to him for holding players accountable, because accountability is rare these days. This sentiment illustrates how successful teams often endure challenges during the regular season, implying that the Nuggets' recent hiccups don't necessarily rule out their potential for a deep postseason run. Should Jokic align with this perspective, he could show greater tolerance for the organization's approach than many external analysts might anticipate. At this stage, Nuggets fans should turn their attention to the team's playoff run and the chance to demonstrate that their path to a championship remains viable, even without Michael Malone guiding them. Do you believe Jokic is committed to staying a Nugget for years to come? Or could this mark the start of his departure from Denver? Share your thoughts with us. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, be sure to click one of the options